Hi, I'm Seamless, and today, miraculously, is still Friday. At least it is on my end. Might not be by the time it's done uploading, but it means it's time for a new how to bass tutorial. And today, I'm going to show you how to make this sound. So this is me to see what happens if I just run things through a lot of Vocodexes. I am using a little bit of what we talked about in previous how to basses in terms of using things like the band distribution page to actually do some sweetness on some of these, and using high band counts as a result. For the most part, though, this is just a regular synth sound being pushed through a bunch of Vocodexes and letting them ruin the sound enough to create this business. So let's talk about what's going on from the beginning here. I'm clicking on you. There we go. So that's what's going on up in the sound, and this is happening as a result of it being a saw wave that is FM'd by almost a square wave. I'm actually using the pre-filter function inside it because if I FM'd it by a full square wave, fully sharp, perfect square wave, the higher frequencies got to be a bit much. So screwing around with a square wave, if you make a square wave and then you have this pre-filter thing, it essentially is removing harmonics from the waveform as if you were low pass filtering it. As just doing it at the waveform level as opposed to in post. So that's what that's all about. That is going into a Vocodex, which not too much special is happening with this. This is pretty light. I'm mostly just this particular curve causes most of the 94 bands to congregate at the higher frequencies. That's what that does in the band distribution curve. I'm also screwing a little bit with anything else. Nope. Okay, cool. This guy's not really doing a lot. I have a bit of the unison to give it tiniest bit of the stereo field. And other than that, that's just entirely what this is all about. This particular guy here. It's going into the EQ, and like some of the EQs and even the compression that I have here were done with the Vocodexes on, just kind of carving the sound out to achieve something that sounded good, for reasons that aren't entirely clear. Now we start to see this kind of work out. We can also start to hear some of the weird artifacts that are happening as a result of this. This is why most of these have either high passes or low passes involved, because it creates just strange frequencies. You see I'm also automating the FM. This is the square FM, which is already very low, as you can see. This is super small amounts of it. And the pitch is also offset by 0.1 in the ratio, which gives us that reaching effect versus being just solid. Which is kind of neat. That gets put into an EQ, which is gets to be compressed, which goes into the third Vocodex. And these guys mostly, again, are some of them have high counts, some of them have low counts, but for the most part, they're pretty high. They're higher than usual anyway, and they have some alterations, mostly in the band distribution. Again, just screwing with this. This is a reason mostly why I'm using this page, because I don't tend to do that a lot in my normal Vocodex stuff, and it does create non-typical Vocodex profiles. You might, if you ever thought to yourself, "Oh, this sounds way too much like Vocodex," or "Sounds too vocody," that kind of thing. Messing with things like the pitch, the pitch distribution and that kind of thing, modular pitch shift, and the bandwidth distribution, which I think I'm doing a little bit in this guy. No, really? Of course more than I was. Will alter its profile, but the band distribution will change dramatically how it works. The reason for that is because it changes where the bands are. See, this one has it mostly towards the end down here. Each of these bands creates a bit of a phase disruption inside the sound, which causes a phasery-like feel. And if it's evenly distributed in a way that you're used to with typical Vocodex usage, then it's going to sound like typical Vocodex usage. But if you screw with that profile, it changes where the phasing happens, and it makes it sound different. That's why that's a particularly powerful window for being unique and all that kind of good stuff. I really could have sworn I was Oh, that wasn't a later project. That's right. I actually went a little too far with this beyond the part where I thought it sounded good, and I didn't end up doing any of that. So never mind. That all ended up just complicating stuff. High pass, low pass, because again, weird frequencies. But this one's high pass a bit more because I'm separating the sub, because it's just ridiculous down there with the Vocodex cut up like that. and then compression, but it's all pretty light stuff. I'm not really using anything that would drive us into distortion because Vocodex is doing that enough to itself. But I'm not pushing. This isn't really like a really pushed up sound because there's just a lot of stuff happening here that like I don't really have super control over, which was kind of the point because Vocodex, even just one Vocodex, is usually unpredictable enough by itself that it can be kind of fun to screw around with. But it's 3 of them is pushing it. And that's really all there is to the sound. So, because there is just so much processing happening to the sound, like the Vocodexes are very heavy processors. When you make changes to the source, like large things will happen, like very impactful things, including just you just putting on unison. Like pretty dramatic stuff. Did a little bit of ring mod once. Didn't really work out. If you're curious, that weird, like kind of watery sound is what happens when you have too much sharpness in the waveform, which is hence this business. Anyway, that was a fun bit of just weirdness in terms of experimentation. I just wanted to try something weird. Actually, a guy on my Facebook page posted a picture of a patcher with a whole bunch of Vocodexes, and it says, "Is this too much Vocodex?" And I said, "No such thing." I decided to see if I was right, and yeah, sure, why not? No such thing as too much Vocodex. Anyway, this FLP will be available for download in the description of this video. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check out my Patreon. Check it out. And as usual, have a nice day. Really hope that was less than 10 minutes.